Hey everybody, this is the Photoshop Workbench. I'm Mark Johnson. It's always a delight to have you with me. When I first heard about Topaz Labs' new texture effects plugin, I was a little concerned that it would only allow photographers to add a limited number of basic textures to our images. Well, boy was I wrong. As I began playing around with texture effects, I quickly realized that this software is incredibly well designed and bursting with creative resources. In addition to being able to add Topaz library textures to your images, you can also do all of the following. You can load and apply textures and effects such as light leaks and borders from your personal library. You can also load and apply textures and effects created by other users in the worldwide Topaz community. And you can apply light leak, diffusion, edge blur, edge exposure, film grain, vignette, border, color overlay, double exposure, and dust and scratch effects. So that's in addition to textures. Texture effects is so versatile that it can effectively become your central hub for managing and applying all of your texture, light leak, dust and scratch, double exposure, and border effects, including the ones in your personal library. In today's tutorial, I'll take you on a comprehensive tour of texture effects. We'll explore the interface, the built-in effects, and the customization possibilities. I'll also show you how to import your own texture assets, how to browse and download community effects, and how to create, save, and share your own custom effects. So we are really going to dive in, and this is going to be awesome. So let's begin with just a basic interface overview. Now, texture effects works on smart objects. So the first thing I'm going to do to this image is choose Filter, Convert for Smart Filters. Again, like any other smart object, this allows me to apply my filter effects in a non-destructive, fully reversible fashion. Now I'm going to choose Filter, Topaz Labs, and I'm going to go into Texture Effects. It's worth noting that when you first run Texture Effects, you want to run it as a standalone application, which you can do forever if you want. But once you run it as a standalone and then reopen Photoshop afterwards, it should automatically load into Photoshop as a plugin. So I'm going to choose Topaz Texture Effects here, and it's going to open up the interface, which is pretty simple to navigate. Like I say, everything here is really well designed. So if I want to see my original image without any effect, I can just click right here. That gives me kind of my before and my after. If I want to zoom in, I can click here and it's going to zoom me in. Now I'd like to pan around, so I can just click and drag the image. So this is always active, this pan right here. I'd like to zoom back out, so I'll click that one right there. Now let's go up to 100%. So you want to very quickly see this image at 100% magnification, which will show you all of the detail that you'll get on a printed page, and then a little. So if I click 100%, it takes me to 100% magnification. I can move it around. I can also click and hold, and as I do that, I can see before and after here at 100% magnification. If I want it to fit back in this window, I just click Fit right here. So really easy to zoom in and out, to fit within this window, to go to 100% for critical viewing. All of that's easy. And remember, you can get before and after by clicking on the image and letting go, or by clicking here and then clicking there again. Super easy to navigate. Now I'm going to hit this little icon right here. It's going to take me back into this area, and I want to point out a few more things in here. So we're going to skip over Browse and New for now, because I'm going to get to those coming up. But I want to show you that right now you have some options here. So these are various effect types or effect categories, and you can see if I click the little icon here with 3 dots that I am viewing different collections. So for instance, if I want to check out something in, I don't know, let's just say I want to check out ethereal, I can go right here and it's going to show me the ethereal effects, and I can click through these and see the different looks. Or if you want, you can actually use the down or up arrow keys on your keyboard to quickly cycle through the options here. And I'm in the ethereal category. I could also go to another category like, say, vintage, and I could arrow through these options as well. So you can see here that you have different categories. But if I click this icon right here again, you'll notice that I can also search this by tags. Now, what are tags? Well, tags are really cool because these are kind of like categories where particular types of photos might work well with the loaded effects. So in other words, if I'm working on an architectural image, I might choose architecture, and it's going to load up effects here that might work well with architectural images. If I'm working with, say, fine art, then I can choose those images, and these effects right here are going to be best suited for that. You'll also notice that up in here you can view all effects, and you can do that whether you're in tags or collections mode. And I'm sorry if that's being cut off, by the way. I'm just now noticing that might be slightly off screen, but it doesn't matter what mode you're in. You can always go here and view all of the effects if you want. And when you're in collections, you can also view my effects, which we'll talk about coming up, as well as favorited effects. So a lot of great things to talk about. Final thing I want to mention with this little icon here is you can also choose search, which may be a little bit truncated as well. You can choose search if you know there's one you're looking for, like say I want the mauve fog one. Let's just type that in and tap return. It's going to bring up that effect right there because I remember that I like it. Oops, and I clicked one too many times. So let's go back here to tags, and let's go into, let's say, fine art for right now, because we're actually going to now dive into how you can use these effects that are loaded up. So I'm going to go down through here. I'm going to look for one that I like, try to find something that I think works well with this image, and I'm looking here at Burning Dusk, which you can see I have favorited this one. I clicked the little heart there, and that means it shows up in, well, if I go back to collections, under collections you're going to see favorites, and so it's actually part of a collection called favorites because I clicked the heart right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Burning Dust, and you can see that works really well, I think, with this particular image of the girl with roses in her hair. But let's say that I want to edit this. Well, if I want to refine the way Burning Dust looks, there are a million possibilities. So I'll click right here on this icon, and it takes me in, and you can see on this particular image this already has basic adjustments, split toning, a texture, borders, and light leaks in action. This is all happening right now. If I click this plus right here, you'll see that I could also play around with diffusion, edge blur, edge exposure. I'm going to show you some of these coming up, but these are all of the different effects that can be added to this image. To accomplish the Burning Dust effect, somebody at Topaz came up with this combination of looks right here. So I'm going to take you through these and just show you how they work. And a few of them I'm going to go over really quickly because they're common to other software as well. A few I'll spend a little more time on because they really make a lot of sense and they're so cool. So I'm going to click this little triangle here to twirl this open, and you'll notice if I click the eyeball right now, before and after, there's very little change. Well, that's because it's showing me actually the change that has occurred to this image in just this basic adjustment panel. So in other words, that's the way the image did look before applying Burning Dust in terms of basic adjustments, and here it is afterwards. So you can see there was maybe a little extra clarity or contrast or something like that added to it. So now I can play around here. I can make it brighter. I could make the shadows deeper, whatever I want. I can add more clarity to it. You can play around with these. These are pretty common to other pieces of software that we've talked about. So I just want to right now go ahead and reset this filter. So I'll hit reset, and it's going to reset back to all of the zeroed out initial settings. Now remember, there was a little bit of a change here with Burning Dust right there. So you can always go back to Burning Dust, and I'm going to click on just a different one for a moment. If I come back into Burning Dust, I'm reset back here. Let me click that icon. I'm reset back here with the modifications actually in place for this. Now, while we're in here, I'm going to go ahead. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to do that in a second. Well, I do want to tell you about this. All of these adjustments, whether it's basic adjustments, split toning, texturing, whatever, can be individually masked. So you'll see down here, if I mask with a brush, which is going to be most similar to Photoshop, I can choose, if I paint with black, to mask the changes away here. And let me really make these changes radical so you can see. Let's say I don't want that brightening effect right here. I can paint on the face just like this, and you can see that I am masking or hiding the basic adjustments here just by painting with black. Now if I want to undo that, I can hit undo. Let me go ahead and paint with black again. Let me show you another approach. So here I am hiding the basic adjustments. Now if I go to white and I say, well gee, I overpainted down here, this allows me to strip that change away. In other words, by hiding the adjustments with black, I'm now restoring the adjustments with white. And I can go ahead and hit invert if I want to invert this so it's the opposite. So again, just remember that, let me reset this for a moment. Painting with black hides the adjustment in this particular category right here. All right. Painting with white restores the adjustment. If you invert, and you can see I've hidden the adjustment out here, and it's in place right here. And you can see that when I do this. It's a really nice way to see that. And you also have an opacity slider, so you can control the density of the change that you're making while you work here in the mask. So anyway, that's enough about basic adjustments here. Let me go ahead, I'm going to reset this filter, and let's move on. Let's go to split toning. This is pretty common in other software as well. So really fast, you can just see you can control your highlight saturation and your highlight color. You can control your shadow saturation and your shadow color, just like this. And you can control the balance between the two. And with all of these panels, you'll see you have masking capabilities. But I'm going to go ahead and reset this one, collapse that, and go into texture here. All right, now in texture, this is a little more interesting. This is the texture that's built into the Burning Dust preset effect right here. But I have other ones I can choose, and I'm just hovering over these right now. I'm not actually clicking, I'm just hovering over them so I can kind of quickly preview the way these other ones look. And I'm going to say to myself, well gee, I like that one. That's why I chose Burning Dust. I really like that texture in there. But let's say I want to modify it. So here I can control the size of the texture. I can zoom it like this. I can even change the aspect ratio if I want to do that. I can control the opacity of the texture. So really dense texture, less dense texture here. I can control the blend mode. So the most common ones that are going to work here are just like in Photoshop. You have overlay, you have multiply, and you have soft light. Those are probably the most dominant ones that will work. And so I'm just hovering over those. Again, I'm not even clicking, and I like overlay best, so we'll stick with that. You can control the detail of the texture. So in other words, it's almost like you can push the clarity on the texture right here, or reduce the clarity on the texture. You can control the saturation. So this is really handy. Say I don't want the orange color imparted to this image. I just want the texture, not the color. I can drain away the saturation from that texture if I want. So you can also apply a color to that texture. So you can, this is like cycling through the hue or the actual color of the texture with this slider, and this is the strength of it right here. So again, just so many possibilities. Let's go ahead and reset this. Now you can see it reset back to, this is one little thing that I wish Topaz would change. It reset back to not my Burning Dust, but to this original texture right here. So what I can do here is I can return, click right here, return, click on a different effect, and then click on Burning Dust, and I'm back in here. But that's just something to keep in mind when you go in here and you reset something. It's resetting back to kind of the default. It's not resetting back to the Burning Dust beginning point. So that's just a little change I wish Topaz would make. All right, now we're going to go here to borders. Borders are pretty straightforward. You can hover over these. You can see they apply different border effects. Now remember, if you see these different categories listed right here, then there's already a border applied to this. It's this one. But you could try on different ones if you want. It's your option. And as with the texture, you can control the size, the opacity, the blending mode, the detail, all of those things that you controlled with texture, you can control with borders as well. Now we'll go to light leak. I really like this one. So here you can see that we're getting this sort of purplish light leak, but there are other options. So, I'll click this one just to show you something. I don't think I'd want to use that one, but if I click on that one, I can click move right here, and I can move this light effect around. So I can actually manually position it by clicking move right there. I can also flip it horizontally, which made it disappear because it's just one little thing. Let's actually go to a different one to show you that better. Let me move this back in. There we go. So I've got this one. I can flip that horizontally like this, or I can flip it vertically, or I could even invert it and get the opposite effect. Everything else down here is pretty similar to what you've seen right up with borders and texture. Now I want to show you something here. Let's say you like the look of this. In fact, I just want to go back. I'm just going to reset. I'll click on another one. I'll go to Burning Dust. I'm right back where I started. I'll click here to dive into the customization. And so there's my beautiful Burning Dust. But let's say, man, when I was hovering over one of these, I really liked the look of one of those light leaks. But I also like the light leaks that's already set here. So what I can do is go down to Add Adjustment. And I can choose Light Leak. And then I can go find the light leak that I like, and let's say it's this one. And I can add a second light leak to this. There are other adjustments, so let's take a quick look at these. Diffusion. This is going to give you kind of a diffusion in front of the lens look. You can control both the softness and the focus, the blur of this. I don't want diffusion here, so I'm going to click the trash can and get rid of that. Now I'm going to go back to here, and I can choose Edge Blur. Now this will allow me to blur the edge of the document and control the harshness or subtlety of the transition, as well as the opacity. So that gives you sort of that vignette with a blur. Let's get rid of that one. Now we'll go here to Edge Exposure. All right, this one is really cool in that right now I'm working on the left edge. If I want to get a little burn in there, I can do that very quickly. I can control its size, how rapid the transition is. I can control the color of it if I want. Then I could go to, say, the right edge here, and I could bring in a little bit of burn right there. I like the way this is implemented. You can choose what edge you want to work on, and then you can set the characteristics for it. Let's take a look at film grain. This one's pretty straightforward. I might want to go to 100% to really see this. And I notice this is pretty new software. I had to click twice to get there. I'm not sure why, but that's okay. Here, at 100%, I can really see the grain and the way it's being implemented in this picture. And I can see how it's going to look pretty much on a printed page. 50% magnification is actually the true detail that you'll see on a printed page, but that's good enough right there. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of film grain. Let's see, we have posterize. We'll skip that one for now. We got a split tone in there already. You could set a vignette. Let's go back to fitting. So you see that's just a darkening all the way around. So instead of edge exposure where you're controlling individual edges, here you're controlling all the way around. You can also place the center of your vignette wherever you want by clicking here and then clicking on your picture to place that center. Pretty cool, super customizable. That's the bottom line right here. We already have a border in here. How about a color overlay? If I click right here I can choose, let's say I want a little bit of a light pink overlay. I can click there, click OK, choose a blend mode. Let's go to soft light. It's going to make it really subtle. Let's use this eyeball to see before and after for just the color overlay effect. And I can control density, make it more intense or less intense with opacity here. Just beautiful. I mean, this software is so well designed and it gives us so many creative possibilities. Let's go to double exposure. Here you can actually load your own images, whatever those might be, and you can work with them as a double exposure. So if I want that as a double exposure, let's say I want its size to be a little smaller, I want its opacity to be a little less, I'm going to change the blend mode to soft light. Look at this. So I'm not just overlaying a texture, I'm overlaying an actual picture and then having all of the controls that I had up here with texture. So eliminate that for now. Dust and scratches, let's apply some of these. You can see I can hover over these and just quickly get a look I want. Go with just something subtle like that. Use the eyeball to see before and after. And light leak and texture we've already worked with. So you can see all of these are creative possibilities, and in a short while I'm going to show you how to import your own textures, or for that matter it could be light leaks or dust and scratch effects. All of these things you can import from your own library and they will be built in then to texture effects. Now that is awesome. But for right now, let's say this is a look that we just love. I want to show you how to save and share this effect. So what you can do here is come up to the Save button right here. And let's say we want to call this one, I'm going to call it Burning Dust Modified. Or you can be more creative if you want. And then you get to determine where do you want to save this. Well, it's going to be saved into My Effects, which I'll show you how you can get to that in a moment. It's automatically going to be saved there, but you could also put it into other categories. If you think it can be in as many categories as you want, and it can be in as many tags as you want. And remember, tags are just sort of, this is a type of effect that might work on, say, an architectural picture or a fashion picture. So let's say I want to put this in, let's just go with fashion, and it's going into My Effects. So I'm going to click Save. And now if I touch that icon right there, in My Effects you'll see it's saved. So that is in, if you're in Collections, you can choose My Effects, and there's your effect right there. Or I also save that, if I go back to Tags and I search this way, I can go to, I think it was Fashion, is that where I put it? Yes, Burning Dust Modified, I also placed it in here, and there it is stored. Now let's say I really like this and I want to share it with the world. Well, I can actually share it out to the Topaz community by clicking this icon right here. And it's going to say, hey, thanks for sharing this. I don't really want to show this message again. So I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. And now if I want to see that that's actually been shared with the Topaz community, what I can do is I can click up here on Browse, and you'll see that right here I can do My Shared Effects. My Shared Effects, and you can see I have shared Burning Dust Modified. In fact, I've done it twice as I practiced for this tutorial and right here. So I've shared it out to the community. There it is in My Shared Effects. If I actually want to get rid of it, remove it from the cloud. So this one right here, if I want to remove that from the cloud, meaning I'm not sharing it with the community anymore, I can click right here. This one, let's say I want to, I could remove that from the community, the cloud, or I could even just wipe out that effect altogether, even from my localized Topaz Texture Effects software here. I could click that button right there. But I don't really want to do that. I will stop sharing it with the cloud because I'm not sure if it's one I want to share or not. I'm going to tell you more about this community in just a moment, so we're going to come back to that. But for right now, what I like to do is show you how you can import your own textures and use them in texture effects. Let me just go ahead and click OK here. Just want to really quickly show you when you apply an effect. Here it is applied. It's a smart filter. So if I double click right here, it takes me back into texture effects right where I left off, right there. Okay, so let's just get this one out of here. Let's look at a different picture for a moment. We'll bring this one up. Again, I will convert it for smart filters, and let's dive into texture effects. All right, so when we're in here, if I want to import my own textures, let's go ahead and slide this back here. What you need to do is begin just by choosing any effect. You know, you can go into any of these categories, you could go into tags, whatever, choose an effect. Let's just say I like, I'm going to search one here because I know there's one that I like. Stormy Seas. So I did that as a search because I went here and I clicked search. There it is. Now I want to edit this, so I'm going to click right here. So let's say I like the look of this Stormy Seas, but I want to try one of my own textures on this. So what I can do, I can either go replace one of these textures that's in here, or if I want to apply this as a completely new texture, I can hit add adjustment and I can choose texture, and then I'd be adding a third texture to this. But let's just go to one of these. Let's just say I want to replace that one right there. So I'm going to hit the little twirl down there, and now I want to open my own textures or import them. So I'm going to click right here on this icon, and you'll see these are categories that already exist right here. This is a category I created because I imported some of my flypaper textures from the August Painterly collection. By the way, I haven't mentioned yet that Topaz is offering a 15% discount on all their plugins. So in my introductory text, I tell you to go to my discounts page and I give you a code to enter. Well, this also applies 15% off flypaper textures, 15% off French Kiss collections textures. So if you want to browse and purchase any of those collections, you can import them into this software and you can have all your textures right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see here, let me go over to Bridge for just a moment. Let's just say I want to work with Summer Painterly from Flypaper Textures. All right, so what I'm going to do is go add a category, and I'm going to name this Flypaper Summer Painterly, and click OK. And there's the category. Now I'm going to hit import, and I'll surf to textures, and I'll find my flypaper ones. You can see I've got mine all categorized here, and I'm going to go into Summer Painterly. And now I could load up all of these textures right now, but that would take some time. So I'm just going to choose the first one and click open. And you're going to see that it is copying this texture off my hard drive into the Topaz Texture Effects library. As soon as it's in here, you'll see it right there. So that was successfully imported. There it is in this texture browser. All right, I'm going to hit close, and you'll see it's also over here if I go to my textures. So these are ones I had already imported, and then one of these, I don't know which one, one of these is what I just imported. But these are all my imports right now. So your textures, your personal textures will be, oh actually, sorry, my textures, these are all my imports. But if I go to Flypaper Summer Painterly, that's the one I just imported. So you can see everything you import comes here. If you import into specific kind of collections that you decide on, those are listed down here, and there it is. And just like before, I can play around with the opacity of this texture, I can play around with the blend mode of this texture, the detail, all of these things. So hopefully you're seeing the possibility here. This is incredible. And to take it even one step further, there are also asset managers for other things like light leaks. So if I click here, actually I don't have any light leaks. How about borders? So if I go to borders and I add a border, I can now click here and I can add a category, and I can import my own borders. So you can bring in your borders, your textures, you can bring in your light leaks, your dust and scratches, and your double exposure effects. All you have to do is make sure you go into, like say I want to bring in double exposure images, I go to double exposure, I click here, add a category, and import what I want to bring in. So everything can exist here in one place, effectively one place. So all of your texturing, all of your creative effects that have to do with what you see listed right here, all of them can exist in one location. All right, I've got to jump on to the next thing. So we're going to talk about browsing and downloading community effects. These are handcrafted, user-created effects made by other texture effects users. So if you want to do this, right now I'm editing this particular texture, so I need to drop out of there, and I can come over here and click Browse. As soon as I do, I am taken into the Topaz community right here. So these are all effects created by people from around the world who work with texture effects. Now it may ask you to log in, so you need to set up a username and a password for the Topaz site. I'd already logged in, so it didn't ask me to. I'm already in here, and you can see I can browse all of these different effects and just see what they're like. These are created by other people, but that might be confusing going through hundreds or thousands of different effects. So what you can do here is you can browse just your local effects. These are the ones that are on your hard drive. You can browse the community. These are just the ones created by people around the world and not yours. Or you can browse both, which is basically everything. And you can choose how you want to browse. New stuff, A to Z, Z to A. You get to choose how you want to browse, and you can narrow the field by going in here. Right now we're dealing with categories, so you can say I just want to see earthy stuff, and then you can say, well, that's kind of cool, and then you can say, well, I want to browse, what are these called? Not categories, these are I cannot remember what these are called here, but anyway, you get the idea. These are the ones that relate to the type of photography that might work with these effects. So I want to view earthy stuff that's related to commercial. There is none so far. How about abstract? There, somebody added this one into earthy, and they tagged it. That's tags. That's what they are. They tagged it with abstract. How about nature? These were all tagged with earthy and nature right here. So let's find one we like. Let's just say we want to go with. I'm looking for something really cool, but I won't take the time to do it. Let's just say I like this fall dark sky one. I want to download it. All I have to do to add this into my inventory on my hard drive is click right here. And now it is downloaded. Then if I click this button again, just like this, it's going to allow me to start editing it. So this is somebody else's effect from who knows where that I have downloaded. Is part of my inventory, fall dark sky. In fact, if I go out of here and I search, so if I go here and I put in fall dark sky, tap return, it's part of my inventory at this point. Actually, that was the wrong way to do it. Let's search it here. There we go. Fall dark sky, part of my inventory. If I want to edit it, I click on it like I just did there. I can come over here. I can modify the existing effects that person created, or I can add new effects right here. Unbelievable. I really hope you're seeing the potential. Final thing I want to mention is if you, let me go fly back out of here. If you want to just start fresh, you want to make an effect, customize right from the beginning. You're not worried about going through these collections and choosing a starting point. You don't need a preset. You can just click right here on New and go right in and start adding adjustments. So you can completely customize right from scratch by clicking that New button. All right, so folks, that is the 20-minute overview, in-depth overview of Topaz Texture Effects. I love this. I think this is excellent software. I think Impression is excellent software, and I'm digging Texture Effects a lot too. Thanks for being with me on today's Workbench. Hope you have a fantastic day, and take care. Enjoy yourself and be creative.